Now, after almost 2.5 years in power, have the government and the banks come up with the right recipe for reviving business? Well, not according to a food producer, which found credit suddenly withdrawn.
It's one of the examples the Parliamentary Commission on Banking Standards has been hearing about on a visit to Birmingham. The Commission is looking at what needs to be done to make lending easier for small firms. Here's our business correspondent, Peter Plisner.
Labour-intensive and with high energy bills, this Birmingham patty maker struggled during the recession. Sales fell 20% and costs went up. Even when things started getting better, its bank wasn't much help.
They took away about 15% of what I will class my borrowings, my day-to-day borrowings. So what that put the company in, we're in what we would class as a critical stage where we were just surviving from week to week.
Not only did this company's original bank stop lending to it by reducing its overdraft facility, it also insisted on sending in consultants to look over the business, costing almost £1,000 a month. It was money that here they simply couldn't afford.
That was additional cost that was added to business at a time when we were losing money.
With the prospect of even higher banking charges, here they were forced to find another bank. Luckily, they succeeded, and thankfully it's meant expansion and new jobs for people like Sept Jenkins.
Oh, I was excited because I've had no money coming in, so having this job and working in this great company is a big opportunity for me.
But other businesses haven't been so lucky, hence the reason for today's hearing in Birmingham of the Parliamentary Banking Commission.
We want businesses to be able to take investment decisions, to buy new machinery, to hire new workers, maybe to expand their premises and so on. And the finance system has to support that activity.
The banks maintain that they are lending, but the British Bankers Association says it needs to be remembered that only a little over 1 in 10 businesses want to borrow at any one time. It adds that most don't need or want external funding, and for many others, the current economic climate is too uncertain for them to want to take on debt.
We need a new British business bank with a clean balance sheet.
Today's hearing came on the same day that the Business Secretary Vince Cable launched a new government-backed investment bank. It's designed to help small firms like this who want to expand but can't get the funds to do it.
And Peter's in the studio now. Peter, what exactly do these small businesses want the money for? Because you'd think there'd be a concern about getting overburdened with debt.
Well, many are being cautious, Nick, but others have a real need to borrow, either to stop themselves going out of business, or some MDs I've been speaking to say that they've been getting big orders, but when they try and borrow the money to buy equipment, they can't borrow the money, so they can't fulfil the orders. It's sort of catch-22 situation. I mean, banks are lending, but the general consensus is they're not lending enough.
And you mentioned it in your piece there, Peter, this new government-backed investment bank. What has been the reaction to that locally?
Well, I spoke to Wade Lynn, who you saw in the film from Ireland Delight. He said he thought it would work, but he's worried that there might be too many strings attached to any loans that come from the bank. He says any new bank needs to take more risks than banks are taking at the moment. He also laments the disappearance of the personal banker. He told me that he hasn't seen a bank manager at his factory for 8 years. The Institute of Directors in the West Midlands, they say it's a step in the right direction, and they say that any investment decisions they hope will come fast and quick rather than very slowly, which has been the state of play in the past with many other government bank schemes.
Peter, thank you.
If you're in business, we'd like to know what your experience is with the banks. Have they helped when you needed it? Or was the response poor or indifferent? Get in touch and we'll try to read out some of your comments before the end of the programme.
But it's not just lack of finance that can be a problem. What if your business was surrounded by acres of dismal, derelict land?